Now, weather instruments, maps and charts. So weather, if you see, is the atmospheric condition uh, of weather elements at a particular place at a particular time. Weather elements include temperature, pressure, wind, humidity, and cloudiness. So whenever the word weather comes, please try to understand there is one thing called weather and another thing called climate. तो वेदर जो होता है वो शॉर्ट ड्यूरेशन का होता है, क्लाइमेट जो होता है बहुत लॉन्ग ड्यूरेशन का होता है। 35 ईयर्स का डेटा अगर हम एक साथ स्टडी करें तब जाके बनता है क्लाइमेट। मतलब एक साल के डेटा को देख के क्लाइमेट वर्ड नहीं निकलता, एक कंपाइलेशन ऑफ डेटा होता है 35 ईयर्स का, तब जाके वी गेट द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ क्लाइमेट। वेदर इंस्ट्रूमेंट जो होते हैं वो वेदर को मेजर करते हैं और जब उसको कैलकुलेट किया जाता है तो वी गेट द क्लाइमेट विच इज अ सम टोटल ऑफ 35 ईयर्स ऑफ डेटा। नाउ इंडिया में ड्यूरिंग द टाइम ऑफ द ब्रिटिश 1875 we can see Indian Meteorological Department was formed, and the headquarter of this organization was, you can see, Calcutta, and at presently the headquarter is Delhi. 1875, when it was formed, you can see if you look back at history, even Delhi was not capital in 1875. It was made capital later. Bengal was the capital, and in Calcutta was the uh, place where the Indian Meteorological Department was established. And then when Delhi must have become the capital, it also must have changed this site. But I am not sure in terms of dates. Uh, Predicting weather a few days in advance may prove useful to the farmers and to the crew of the ship, pilots, fishermen, and defense personnel, because uh, on weather everything depends, है ना? And today is a very advanced world, and we can see and that predictions are available right on our mobile. If we go, we will notice that what will be the weather like tomorrow. You can easily know from the predictions given, and that is the weather forecast. ठीक है? And all this weather forecast is dependent on the new technologies that we have, and because of the satellites, etc., we have been much better in predicting the weather situation as compared to what we were in the past. So what are the elements of weather? So elements of weather are atmospheric pressure, temperature, humidity, precipitation, cloudiness, and wind. These are known as elements of weather. With this, we come to weather observation. World Meteorological Organization is called as WMO. Now comes the surface observatories. So in a surface observatory, what are the things that exist? If you see, usually in uh, the highest category of class 1, typical instruments available in class 1 observatory include the following. One is maximum and minimum thermometer. Second is anemometer and wind vane. This means there are two. And wet and dry bulb thermometer third, and fourth is mm, barom sorry, rain gauge, and the fifth is, sorry, sixth is the barometer. So we have got six instruments with us: maximum and minimum thermometer, anemometer and wind vane, wet and dry bulb thermometer, rain gauge, and barometer. Right? Thermometers are used to measure air temperature. तो अगर thermometers को देखें तो what is the use of thermometers? They are measuring air temperature. Up, what do we see? That we have got within the thermometer, usually the most prevalent are the mercury thermometers, है ना? But there are also alcohol based thermometers. The one which we see at our home, if it is not digital, then it's a mercury thermometer in which there is a shining thing. The bulb of the thermometer is in contact with the air, gets heated or cooled as the case may be as a result of the mercury in the bulb rises or falls. तो जो mercury होता है, that has got the capacity to, it's the most say एकदम temperature का effect उस पे होता है. If the temperature is high, it will expand, and if the temperature is low, it will contract. And in a definite measure, it contracts and expands. So that can be measured on the thermometer. The scale is marked on the glass tube and readings are taken from there. So on the glass tube, the readings are there, which you must have seen when people get fall sick. We usually do. It's a bit different from the that particular thermometer which you see, which we use for measuring the human body temperature. It is a bit different thermometer because in that thermometer there is a kink sort of thing because of which the when you take the thermometer out of the mouth, it does not go down. But here, and you have to but the thermometer which is used for atmosphere, in that as the temperature will increase, if it is a single thermometer, the temperature will be increasing. If it starts falling, it will also start falling. That is why uh, in ordinary thermometer that is used for max, it is like this. And then most common scale used for thermometers are centigrade and Fahrenheit. Okay. Usually when we see our own self, when we measure our temperature, it is always in Fahrenheit, not in centigrade. Okay. So there are two types of thermometer based on the two scales. One is Fahrenheit scale and one is centigrade scale. The temperature of melting ice is marked 0 and the boiling point is 100. तो ये सेंटीग्रेड स्केल में लोएस्ट टेम्परेचर उसने माना है आइस किस टेम्परेचर पे वो मेल्ट होने लगती है, वो 0 डिग्री सेल्सियस पे मेल्ट होने लगती है, -4 पे वो एग्जिस्ट करती है और 0 पे वो मेल्ट करने लगती है और बॉइलिंग ऑफ वाटर हो जाती है 100 डिग्री सेल्सियस पे. The interval between the two is divided into 100 equal parts. On the Fahrenheit ther- thermometer, the freezing and boiling point of water are reduced at 32 degree Fahrenheit to 212 डिग्री फ़ारेनहाइट. तो जो फ़ारेनहाइट का थर्मामीटर है उसकी रेंज में आप देखो 100 की जगह कई ज्यादा पॉइंट्स हैं, है ना? तो maximum thermometer and minimum thermometers are used to measure the air temperature. Dry bulb and wet bulb thermometers are used to measure humidity in the air. So all this we will explain you. You just keep record marking this. The maximum thermometer is designed to record the highest temperature during the day. हाँ, तो स्टीवनसन स्क्रीन को अगर हम देखें तो इट इज मेड इन सच अ वे, ये वुड का बना होता है मोस्टली। इसके ऊपर, इसके अंदर इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स को रख देता है, तो डायरेक्ट रेज ऑफ द सन उसके ऊपर नहीं पड़ेंगी। ठीक है, तो इसकी 4 legs इफ यू सी 3 feet 6 inch above the ground होती हैं। मतलब ये इट इज अ एक्सेप्टेड स्टैंडर्ड that it should be 3 feet 6 inch high. So all the instruments are kept in this particular Stevenson screen to protect the thermometers from precipitation and direct sunlight, because precipitation and sunlight will uh, cause change in the weather, and it will record much max higher temperature. Suppose if the thermometer direct rays of the sun are falling, so you, in place of recording the exact temperature of the area, you will be recording much more. So to maintain a particular standard, all the instruments are kept in such a small uh, box where all the things are measured, and the purpose of is to create a uniform temperature and closure. So this is very important, that what is the purpose of why it is made. It is made so that there is a uniform temperature and closure. And now in this, all these things are kept. Now this is wet and dry bulb thermometer, right? So thermometer, alcohol is used in place of mercury. Here you can see alcohol thermometer uh, in wet and dry bulb thermometer. What is used? Alcohol. So you can see the color is red, right? And the readings are on the basis of how much it expands. Celsius are also mentioned, and Fahrenheit is also mentioned. You can see Fahrenheit scale here, Celsius scale here. Okay, and it says the dry bulb and the wet bulb thermometers are used for measuring humidity in the air. क्या होता है कि when the in this particular thermometer, the bulb, one bulb is here, one bulb is here. Bulb is the place where maximum alcohol is there, this point, and this point it is here. In the second one, what have they done? In the wet one, they have covered the bulb with a wet cloth, and to keep this wet cloth wet, there is a bottle in which this particular cloth is dipped. So water will continue to come and encircle this particular bulb. तो एक wet है और एक dry है. Now what will happen is कि temperature variation between them will vary, because in one evaporation is taking place near to the thermometer in the wet one, and in the dry one evaporation is not taking place as such. So it will record the exact temperature, the dry one, and the wet one will be influenced by amount of moisture in the एयर, क्योंकि अगर मॉइस्चर बहुत ज्यादा होगा एयर में तो इवेपोरेशन कम होगी, और मॉइस्चर कम होगा तो इवेपोरेशन ज्यादा होगी। टेम्परेचर भी इन्फ्लुएंस करता है। द ड्राई एंड वेट बल्ब thermometers are used to measure humidity in the air. The dry bulb and the wet bulb thermometer are two identical thermometers fixed in a wooden frame. The bulb of dry thermometer is kept uncovered and is exposed to the air, while the bulb of the wet bulb thermometer is wrapped with a piece of wet muslin, which is kept continuously moist by dipping a strand of it in small vessel of distilled water. The evaporation of wet bulb lowers its temperature. तो wet bulb का temperature कम होता रहता है. तो इन दोनों का जो डिफरेंस है वो अमाउंट ऑफ ह्यूमिडिटी इन द एयर को is able to tell us. The dye bulb is not affected by the amount of water vapor present in the air, but wet bulb readings vary since the rate of evaporation is dependent upon the amount of water vapor present in the air. Greater the humidity in the air, slower the rate of evaporation. Hence, the difference between the two wet and dry thermometer will be small. अब इसके एक चार्ट बना होता है कि इन दोनों में कितना गैप है. ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ दैट वी कैन स्टडी कि कितनी ह्यूमिडिटी है इन द एयर. सो इन द पास्ट when modern measures were not there, wet and dry bulb thermometers were very effective in finding out the difference between um, humidity, right? So what does it says? Uh, on the other hand, air is dry. The evaporation from the surface of wet bulb is rapid, which would lower its temperature, and the difference between the two readings would be larger. Hence, the difference of reading in dry bulb and wet bulb thermometer determines the state of atmosphere with regards to humidity. Larger the difference, more arid is the air. तो कितना डिफरेंस बढ़ता जा रहा है उतनी एरिडिटी बढ़ती जा रही है. Why? Because अगर air is arid, evaporation will be more. Evaporation will be more, तो wet bulb will record lesser temperature. Why? क्योंकि evaporation उसे ठंडा कर देगी. जैसे घड़े के अंदर पानी ठंडा होता है जबकि बाहर गर्मी होती है ना. तो here you can understand the fact very well that it says more aridity is larger the difference, more the aridity. So lesser the aridity, the more moisture in the air, lesser will be the difference.